TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How about your feud against the Iron Sheik? Any memories of that?
Sheik was a good run, one of the most imitated guys in the business with it. Do not say USA, USA. Sheik, not a great technical worker, but a great gimmick worker.
Yeah. All right, you knew this was coming. What about when you were pulled over with them?
Sure, yeah. Well, actually, the Sheik and I were very good friends, and we flew into Newark, the whole territory, and I was over 18, so I can't put no heat on nobody but myself. But the Sheik says, maybe I have no credit card, maybe I ride with you to town. Hey, sure, Sheik, ride with me. I had a little weed, of course, back then Bill Clinton was smoking the weed ski, I think in the early 80s there, or mid 80s. And I was drinking a beer, which is rare because I usually drink vodka. But the Sheik drank St. Pauli girls, and he stopped and gave St. Pauli girls as we're going down the Garden State Parkway. The cop saw me put this, I was drinking the beer, and he pulled us over. His trooper smelled the weed, pulled me out of the car. So the others, maybe 4 or 5 doobies under the seat. Boom, popped me for possession of marijuana, drinking while driving. Searched the Sheik. Sheik had 3 grams of cocaine on him. So of course, the next day in the New York Daily News is boozing bozos, coke, marijuana, and booze on the Garden State Parkway. It was a huge story. Of course, never recuperated professionally from that deal, but didn't kill myself neither. Vince, this first time I ever got through to Vince so quick in my life because, we got popped and we were on our way to Asbury Park. And of course, that night we went and worked, and I called my wife and said, I don't know if anybody will find out about it. Of course, she called me the next morning. She goes, everybody knows. And of course, my first call was to my dad, who was chief of police in Glens Falls at the time. And, he said, did you get arrested for cocaine? I said, no, Pop, I got arrested for marijuana. He said, well, I knew that'd get you in trouble sooner or later because I know you smoke that stuff once in a while. I said, yes, sir. But my family was very, very supportive throughout that. And my dad took a lot of heat because I lived in Louisiana then. I went home, I didn't answer my phone. Boom, my family up in New York just got bombarded with press. So they went through a very hard time with it. And of course, the Sheik, I think he got a felony arrest for 3 grams in separate containers. And of course, it was a big schmoz. And this is the Hillbilly Jim story we were talking about earlier. So I called Vince, the next day. I called my pop, and, my pop gives me chews my butt a little bit, and gives me support. My next call was Vince, and I never been through to Vince that quick in my life. I called up and said, Jim Duggan for Vince McMahon. Hold on, boom, boom. Jim? I said, yes, sir. He says, I remember verbatim what he says. He says, Jim, what have you done to us? I said, Vince, I'm embarrassed and ashamed, and anything you do, I understand. He says, turn your airplane tickets in and go home. Boom. On the phone up. So I turned my tickets in and went home. And that night or two later, he had a big meeting somewhere, and he pounded the table. Duggan and Sheik will never, ever work for the WWF again. So Jake called me that night and said, Jim, you might have screwed up there, brother. It doesn't sound good. So I waited like a week or two when I called Dusty at the NWA, or whatever it was down there in Georgia deal, Turner's deal. And as I was negotiating with Dusty, Bruce Pritchard called me and says, just lay low for a little while. So I laid low for like 3 months, and then they brought me back. So we're all in the dressing room one night, and Hillbilly Jim goes, that Vince McMahon, he lied to all of us. He said he wouldn't hire Duggan and Sheik, and there's Duggan sitting right there. I'm like, Hillbilly, can I talk to you in the bathroom? Shut your mouth, you piece of garbage. But so I was back after 3 months, and but professionally, because they were pushing me hard right then. Yeah. But I don't blame the Sheik, and that's one of the things that happened. Not the worst thing that ever happened to me in the business. I've done worse things that people just haven't heard about. That was probably the most publicized one, but not my biggest regret.
Yeah, I remember a big deal at the time was that you and Sheik were feuding with each other. And
the kayfabe deal.
Yeah, there was a whole kayfabe deal. Did anyone give you any heat over that? Was that?
Oh, yeah, of course, sure. Yeah, and I still do. How many years ago was that, brother? And you're asking me about it. I mean, the most infamous bust in professional. Christopher Adams headbutted a co-pilot on an airplane. Who talks about it? Ken Patera went to prison. Who talks about that? Jimmy Snuka killed a girl. Who talks about it? I get busted with a Sheik. Hey, everybody talks about it. Which is okay.